Hot day here in San Francisco with some hot takes and a hot day. So I want to talk about early PLG. And I've been thinking a lot about this recently, which is if you're super early and you're doing PLG, what you're doing is you're outsourcing use cases to your customers, which is we built without a user in mind. We built to try to do this very ambitious thing. You tell me how it's used. And especially if you're not in touch with your customers and they're paying a low value, you have to have ultra high conviction that your users will come up with use cases that you can be 10 times better at. I do think that the large language models help this because the tools they use today likely don't embed large language models. So I think that there is a window now to build something. Gamma is a perfect example. Not spreadsheets, presentations, but with AI. Charge a low rate for it, like be the AI innovator. How do you add AI to presentations? And in that case, they went really wide, but they built for a long time before seeing kind of explosive growth. And it wasn't until they threw AI in the product, and it was a great product, did they start to see explosive growth. If you're doing PLG at the later stages, it means that your product can be purchased transactionally and used transactionally, which is to say that you can get into the product and a certain subset of users can find value in it. And that it's good enough for them to be able to explore and find that value themselves. You don't need guidance necessarily. I think that the hard thing about early PLG is that no one's paying a lot of money and they're left to figure it out. So you are basically seeding ground to your user. You're saying, I don't know. A lot of stuff it can do. I don't know. Can it do the thing that you want to do well? And you end up having to build and build and build and build because all the people that come in are they look different. So as you kind of build, hopefully, if you have enough runway, you eventually capture enough use cases to be valued to some segment, and then you pick, just like Clay did. Clay picked. They're like recruiters, blah, blah. So the sheer mass of people that were using it and spreading it were like the persona found itself after much trouble. The other way to build the early stage is to pick a use case, pick a narrow use case. And if you believe that you could be the tool for everyone, certainly that means that you could be an amazing tool for someone sooner. That you can actually deliver that value for a very specific use case 100 times better. And in doing so, you'll know the answer. You'll know what they'll pay. And it doesn't have to be enterprise. It doesn't matter what you charge, as long as you charge something. And so I think that PLG is a bit of a crutch for us not wanting to commit, for us not wanting to say no in the early stages. But building a company, in my opinion, is a series of figuring out when, where, and who to say no to. And there are, of course, counterfactuals, right? The Airtables of the world, the Figmas of the world. And obviously they said no to a lot of people, but those counterfactuals take a long time because you have to outbuild the competition in everything that the market does. And that's just a really, really high bar. It's a high bar for Notion to succeed, high bar for Airtable to succeed. And there are fewer and fewer of those types of opportunities now, with, AI caveat here. And so I think that I love PLG for developer use cases where people can go in and they know who this is for, and it's for the people that want to build with it, right? PLG in the early days, I think, is an abdication of your responsibility to solve a problem and to not build a product. And that's why I think you should build software, to solve a problem. And that problem almost always, if it is to catch fire in the minds of your users, has to be a narrow one. Forget what you can do and focus on who you can do something for 100x. Because if you look at your PLG signups, there are for sure people in that cohort that you can do a much better job for. So make the commitment to say no, make it thoughtfully, and if you are wrong, switch to a different persona. But pick. Those are my thoughts for today.